The most powerful man in basketball just walked into the WNBA's house and flipped the entire table upside down. Not a reporter, not a retired player, not some angry fan on Twitter. Adam Silver, the man who just negotiated a $77 billion television deal, looked the WNBA directly in the eyes and told them they have a serious problem. And when Adam Silver talks, nobody gets to look away. Let's be completely honest about what we've been watching unfold over the past several weeks. The Caitlin Clark situation has stopped being just a basketball story. It became a corporate emergency. It became a financial crisis. It became the kind of public relations nightmare that keeps league executives awake at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling wondering how everything spiraled this far this fast. Because here's the thing nobody in the old guard wants to admit out loud. You don't get to hand the WNBA a once-in-a-generation superstar. Watch her break every scoring record in college basketball history. Watch her lead 2 programs to Final Fours. Watch her single-handedly drag an entire league into primetime television relevance. And then turn around and let veterans with closed fists and zero accountability treat her like she needs to earn something. That's not toughness. That's sabotage. Now, before we go any further, let's actually talk about who Caitlin Clark is, because some people who are brand new to women's basketball genuinely don't understand the weight of what they're watching. This is the all-time leading scorer in the history of college basketball. Not women's college basketball. All of college basketball. She made 2 Final Fours. She made entire arenas sell out in cities that hadn't cared about women's hoops in decades. She showed up in the WNBA as a rookie, and immediately the ratings went through the roof. Corporate sponsors started writing checks they'd never written before. Amazon, NBC, and Disney didn't accidentally hand the WNBA a $3.1 billion media deal out of nowhere. They paid that premium specifically because the math was undeniable. Caitlin Clark equals eyeballs. Eyeballs equal advertiser dollars. Advertiser dollars equal the survival of the entire league. That is not an opinion. That is the financial architecture of modern professional sports. So when you understand that context, when you truly internalize what she represents economically, the Alyssa Thomas situation stops looking like a physical altercation between 2 athletes and starts looking like a direct threat to a multi-billion-dollar investment. Watch the film again without the emotional noise. You have a veteran player pressing significant body weight and a closed fist directly into the throat and upper chest of a grounded rookie. Then moments later, you have a completely reckless violation of her landing space that sends her crashing to the hardwood with a back injury serious enough to pull her from the lineup. Not one whistle blown in real time. Not one ejection. The league came back afterward with a 1-game suspension and thought that was going to be enough to quiet things down. It wasn't. It made everything exponentially worse because the entire sports media world looked at that response and saw exactly what it was. A league trying to quietly bury a story that had already gone completely nuclear. Here is where Adam Silver changes the entire equation permanently. When Stephen A. Smith goes on First Take and loses his mind over the officiating, Kathy Engelbert can issue a press release and ride out the storm. When a Hall of Fame player posts a hot take on social media, the league can ignore it and wait for the news cycle to move on. But when Adam Silver, the single most powerful executive in the entire basketball ecosystem, publicly steps forward and scrutinizes the way the WNBA is handling its most valuable player, there is no press release in the world that makes that go away. Because Silver isn't just a concerned observer. The NBA has financially subsidized the WNBA for decades. The television deals are structurally bundled together. The entire economic framework connecting these 2 leagues means that when Silver speaks about the WNBA, he is speaking as the person with the most institutional authority over its future. Period. Full stop. No debate. And Silver's criticism cuts even deeper when you understand his specific history with player protection in the NBA. This is the commissioner who completely overhauled the rule book after Kawhi Leonard's catastrophic injury, specifically to protect landing space for airborne shooters. He built an entire officiating philosophy around the principle that you protect your superstars at all costs, because the consumer pays to watch transcendent talent perform at its highest level. They do not pay to watch a role player with nothing to lose systematically dismantle a superstar through unchecked physicality. In the NBA, if a veteran enforcer did to Steph Curry exactly what was done to Caitlin Clark, that player would be ejected immediately, suspended for multiple games without pay, and the officiating crew would face serious internal consequences for losing control of the floor. That is the standard Silver built in the NBA. And now he is looking at the WNBA and telling them directly that their standard is completely unacceptable. What makes this moment so historically significant is the way it exposes the fundamental philosophical divide inside women's basketball right now. There is a deeply entrenched old guard culture in the WNBA that genuinely believes physicality and hazing a rookie is a legitimate tradition, that she has to earn her place by absorbing punishment. That outside criticism is an attack on the sport itself. And on a purely human level, you can almost understand where that mentality comes from. These veteran players spent years grinding through underfunded seasons, playing overseas to survive financially, watching the league struggle for mainstream attention. And then a white rookie from Iowa arrives, and suddenly the cameras follow her everywhere. The endorsement deals are massive, and the entire sports media landscape reorganizes itself around her story. The resentment is real. The frustration is understandable on a personal level. But here is the brutal corporate truth that sentiment cannot survive contact with. Professional sports leagues are not democracies. They are businesses. And in the business of professional sports, the athlete who generates the most revenue commands the most protection. Not because of favoritism, not because of race or background or how long you've been in the league, because the economics of survival demand it. LeBron James is protected by NBA officiating because without LeBron James, the television deal evaporates. Steph Curry is protected because without Steph Curry, the merchandise numbers collapse. And Caitlin Clark must be protected because without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's $3.1 billion media deal becomes a renegotiation conversation that the league cannot afford to have. Adam Silver is not asking the WNBA to be fair in some abstract moral sense. He is telling them that the billionaire executives at Amazon and NBC and Disney, who just wrote massive checks, are watching what is happening to their investment in real time. And they are not happy. Television partners in modern sports do not simply accept that a ratings driver is being physically harassed out of the lineup by unchecked veteran physicality. They make phone calls. They send messages through lawyers. They renegotiate terms. They remind the league who actually funds the lights staying on. Silver stepping in publicly is a warning shot before those conversations get a lot more uncomfortable behind closed doors. Let's also talk about the historical magnitude of what Clark has actually accomplished, because the old guard narrative that she hasn't earned mainstream attention yet is genuinely detached from reality. No player in WNBA history has ever generated this kind of cultural crossover momentum. She is not just a great basketball player. She is a global sports icon. She is commanding the same level of mainstream media coverage and corporate endorsement interest as the biggest stars in the NBA. She has done something no woman in the history of professional basketball has done before. She has made an enormous portion of the general American public, people who never watched a WNBA game in their lives, genuinely care about the outcome of regular season games in June. The arenas are packed. The TV numbers are historic. The merchandise is moving at rates the league has never experienced. This is the winning lottery ticket Silver is talking about. And the WNBA is currently at risk of tearing it up with their own hands. The path forward is completely clear, even if the political will to walk it is still being negotiated. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA officiating department now face a binary choice with no middle ground remaining. They can continue appeasing the old guard, continuing to look the other way when veteran players employ physical tactics that would result in immediate ejections in the NBA, and subsequently watch the television momentum stall, the corporate sponsors grow nervous, and Adam Silver's patience completely evaporate. Or they can adopt the NBA blueprint with full commitment. They can make it publicly and unmistakably clear that a closed fist to the throat means an immediate ejection and a serious multi-game suspension without exceptions. That a landing space violation on an airborne shooter means the same thing regardless of whether you've been in the league for 10 years or 10 days. That the era of unpunished physical intimidation targeting the league's most important asset is permanently finished. The WNBA has never been closer to genuine mainstream relevance than it is right now. The television money is real. The cultural momentum is real. The global audience paying attention for possibly the first time in their lives is real. And all of it is directly tied to one player's health, safety, and continued ability to perform at the level that created this moment in the first place. Adam Silver understands that. The broadcasting partners understand that. The corporate sponsors understand that. The only people who seem to be struggling with that reality are the ones inside the league who are letting personal resentment override basic institutional survival instincts. This is the defining crossroads moment in the history of women's professional basketball. The choice the WNBA makes in the coming weeks about how it protects or fails to protect Caitlin Clark will echo through the financial architecture of the league for the next decade. Silver has spoken. The television partners are watching. The entire sports world is paying attention. And the question is no longer whether change is coming. The question is whether the WNBA leadership will choose to lead that change themselves or get dragged into it by forces far larger and far more powerful than anything they've ever had to navigate before. The clock is running. And right now, every single decision matters more than it ever has.